with Bolan-Beaty Boogie. I'm going to talk a little bit about a trip to Savannah I just took and some spirit I talked to. So if you want to forward ahead to Marc, feel free to do that. I had heard that Savannah was one of the most haunted cities or towns in the U.S. And I hadn't been since I was a child, so I decided to go again. I toured all the houses that you can tour, the historical houses. The problem with that for me is that they're all guided tours. So you're in a group, you're being told the history of the house, obviously, and who lived there, and it's all very interesting, and I love doing that. But I can't really connect with any spirits in that type of atmosphere. And I knew that. But I didn't really make plans to, and I'm not even sure if these houses you can really make plans to just tour them by yourselves. Usually it takes a group and a lot of money. So anyway, but I did go to one house that it was a self-guided tour. So I was able to get into an area where it was quiet and I could connect with spirits. So one man did show up. He was an enslaved man. He was very powerful, very tall, very strong, really just a big man. And I could tell from his energy that he was just a really kind soul. And he stepped forward, and I don't think he was from the house I was in. I think he was from a house that maybe wasn't there or from a few houses away. But he kept saying, I was misunderstood. I was misunderstood. I was misunderstood. That was all I was getting out of him. And I just said, can you please calm down a little bit? And, I'm here. I'll listen to your story. Tell me what, you want to tell me. And so he told me, once he calmed down a little bit, he said that he was obviously enslaved in a house. And he would try as much as he could to help the women who were working in the houses, because he saw that they were being asked to take on too much physical work that they couldn't handle. And so he showed me him helping in the laundry, stirring like vats or something, but he would have to sneak in because with whatever he was trying to help with, because that wasn't considered his job. He was, I'm not sure what his job was, but since he was so big and powerful, I'm sure they made him do a lot of lifting and things like that. So anyway, he said that when he was caught, he was punished. And then one day he was helping one of the family's daughters. And she was like a teenager, maybe, like 13, 14 or something like that. He was helping her with something. I didn't really get what he was helping her with, but he was overlooked, and there was, he was reported that he was being too familiar with the family, with the white woman. And so he was trying to tell them that there was nothing about it. He was trying to help her with something. He wasn't that type of person, but of course they didn't listen. They didn't hear. And the teenager knew that there was nothing amiss about the situation, but she didn't speak up for him. So that's why he was saying, I was misunderstood. I was misunderstood. And I think there was a big to-do about it. And then eventually the last image I got of him was he had a collar around his neck, like a metal collar around his neck, and he was chained to a cart and he was being driven away somewhere. So I'm assuming that was not a positive outcome for him. I think he didn't want to show me the rest because he knew it was upsetting, and I knew he didn't live much longer after that. I think he was sold to like some other person or business that really just worked people literally to the death, and I don't think he lasted. And I can kind of see him on a ship, something like that. So I don't think he stayed in the area. But anyway, so that was one experience. And I did check with my guides, Nate, and he said his name was Lewis. The spirit's name was Lewis. And he wasn't ready to move on. But Nate said that when he is ready, that there will be help for him. And I know I asked him if he wanted help, and he didn't answer. So I'm assuming that he's going to be ready. But he just really wanted to talk to somebody. He really wanted somebody to hear his story. And I think that's true of a lot of spirits who are earthbound. And I did speak a little bit briefly with a Mr. Williams, who was part of the Mercer Williams house. And that was based on, the murder that was there was based was the book Garden, what is it? Garden and the Good and Evil, or whatever, I forget what it is. The movie that was made in the book. And that was a guided tour, so I really couldn't, I tuned into him a little bit after the fact. And it was a very elaborate show he wanted to put on, the Mr. Williams, who was the man who was accused of murdering his lover, handyman. But anyway, I saw a bunch of fog, and it looked like fog in a theater. And then gradually the fog cleared, and then these curtains opened, and I thought, well, this is a very dramatic person or spirit. And then he came to talk to me. It was almost like he was vetting me or something, or to see like what was my motive or something like that. And I thought, well, that's fair enough. And then, but the man who he was accused of murdering, and then he got off for it, tried to step forward out of like a door or another curtain, and this Mr. Williams stopped him, and he had to go back in. And I thought, well, that's kind of odd. And so once I was questioning why can't he speak, that kind of put the kibosh on that whole conversation. So he kind of shut his curtains again, and that was it. So, oh, and I did take a ghost tour at one of the houses in the evening. And that was it wasn't really interesting. The reason I did it was really to see one of the houses at night. And it was very atmospheric. You know, the lights were down. They couldn't have candles, but they had things that looked like, you know, candles and red lighting. And we got to go into the basement. And so the guide just basically told stories about some of the tragedies that happened there, who might be haunting, what they've reported. But again, it was an atmosphere where it was a hot day. They had tons of big fans moving. So, you know, spirit energy is so subtle that, for me at least, it's really hard to pick up anything. And if you've got a lot of people walking around you, it's just, you know, it's going to be, for me, almost impossible to pick up anything, because it's just going to be so much energy involved in the space. But they did have some interesting stories, and so that was fun. But that was my trip to Savannah, and I do hope you enjoyed the show this week. I think it's very timely, and a lot of good information from Marc and Spirit. Again, we do have a website that I know is going to be up until November. So if you've been wanting to look at it, now would be a good time, because I think it's going to be coming down in November. Again, it's www.channelingmart.com. Yeah. Here, yep. Here I am. Ooh, yep. I'm here. Well, it was a little bit rocky today, but I got through. Well, there's a lot of activity going around where physically where Diane's body is located. So it was it was hard for her to focus. Okay, hard for her to focus, but I got through. Okay, hello everyone. This is Marc. You may know me as Marc Bolan from the rock band T-Rex. Yep. And I got my friends here in the studio with me, and I think we have a pretty good show. Yeah, we've been gone for a few weeks. I've been at a soul spot. The shoulders are tight in this body, so I'm just going to do some exercise. Yep, because you never know. Okay, Diane tries to keep her body in shape, and went a massage yesterday. Yep, but when I come into it, it's always a little bit different. It could be more stressed. It could be, and it's usually more stressed. Yep, because there's a lot going on. But I just have to, it's like a what? yeah, it kind of, it's like fitting in a pair of shoes or something that aren't yours, right? Right. So you have to kind of either put your feet in them or waddle around in them or something like that until it feels right. Okay, so let's get on with the show. Okay, so yeah, we do have a guest today, a very special guest. So today's the topic of today's show is what? No, we don't. We don't have any loose ends from last time. Okay. The topic of today's show is leadership. Okay. And leadership in the spirit world, if there is any, we will talk about that, and leadership in the physical world. And we're specifically talking about the Earth human world. Okay. But we might talk about other timelines and planets. Okay. Yeah. So let's bring in our special guest. If you would. Oh, yeah. I hear trumpets. Okay. Very special guest. Yeah. Are you ready? Yeah. Oh, you have an entourage. Yep. Yeah. Please come forward. I can. Yeah. Trumpet sounds. Toot. No, that doesn't sound like it. Okay. Yeah. Please come forward. Okay. Okay, so yes, hello, welcome. Let me introduce you, please. And you have quite a group with you there. Okay, so this is council. Can't really call you council man or woman, but you are council spirit number 7. You're saying, and you are you are on the Council of Seven. Right. So you are kind of a managing authoritarian. I wouldn't want to call you authoritarian, but you are an esteemed group of spirits members who kind of oversee the astral community, the spirit community, like very much like like a Supreme Court, but well, I won't say not crooked, but on the earth. Okay, because it all depends on your matter of viewpoint, but obviously I have mine. So please come forward. Okay. Yeah, if you could sit in front of me, that would be very helpful. Yeah. A one-on-one. Yeah, more central. There's a chair there. Do you see it? Yep. Okay. Yeah. So let me describe you if you don't mind. Okay, you do look male. Okay, so I don't know. Yeah, but you are a spirit. Yes, and you do have, you're not as old as many would assume, but that's all relative anyway, because you can present yourself how you like, but you are presenting yourself as, so this is interesting. You do have the older white beard. Is that just something that assuming you might have, being an elder of a society? No, he's saying, no, I actually do have it. But you're not what would be considered elderly or senior, right in the okay. And then you do have your is it a necklace? It's a necklace with your identification. Okay, so it would be so you have your symbols on there, and we've talked about that before on the show. So there are symbols that represent who you are on the council, as well as what your priorities are, or what you are most inspired by, or what you are trying, or what you oversee. It's all of that. So it's all combined. So there is some personal information on there. There is what you are, kind of in charge of overseeing, and what your interests are. On the council. Okay. Yeah. So let's look into this. Where do you want to? Where should we start? Let's look at it from the spirit perspective. Okay. So there is a Council of Seven. Everyone's heard about you. There are other governing councils who haven't yet reached such notoriety as yourselves. Right. Right. So you're good. Yeah. So you're saying that. So you are kind of, we could consider you like the Supreme Court in the United States, in America, right? And then there would be lesser courts or lesser councils. That would be, which would be, and pretty much most countries have the same type of setup. Now, is that how this transpired? yeah. So he's saying, again, like we say on the show, a lot of things in the physical got their start based on what was in spirit. Okay, so it's not like when you come down into a spirit body, you are a blank slate, so to speak, but you still carry aspects of your lives in spirit. So that will come up. So it feels. So you're saying it feels fairly normal for a human on Earth to have the same setup in a way that there is back home on the astral. Right. So he's saying yes. And that happens with a lot of things that you you don't even think about it in your daily life, he's saying, but that is true. So that is comfortable. And it seems to me that, so let's think about that. So it seems to me that every society, and we'll look into maybe some other planets just in a few minutes, or timelines, that it's fairly necessary to have this type of setup, because otherwise it would just be, there would be no repercussions for any type of activities or events where harm or something was brought upon others with no consequences. Yeah. And how, but it's different in spirit. Okay, there's not a jail necessarily. There is, can you just explain how it works in spirit? And is there cause? Is it necessary? Okay, so he's saying the justice system in spirit is set up similarly, oh well, whatever, to Earth, but it is different in a way, because each individual is expected, okay, and assumed that they are going to take responsibility for themselves. And that's not necessarily the case on Earth, okay? In spirit, you are left to your own devices, so to speak. It's not like you don't get support. No. You still have guidance that you can go to, but if you don't seek the guidance that you need, and things are not as you hoped, or things do not seem to be uplifting for you, or you are depressed or whatever, then that will be on you. Okay, that will be on you. You have to take responsibility for who you are and who you want to create and where you are in your own timeline, and etc. Now, so why is that lessened when you get, and he's saying it's not really lessened. It might be perceived to be lessened in the physical world, but it's still the same setup. And he's right, because if you come to the Earth, okay, maybe you're somebody who it has mental issues or physical issues, and you can't really support yourself or something like that. You have to rely on a government or some type of society or some donations in order to survive, right? And yes, but you have, and I mean, some may argue, have you decided to do that? Yes, in some way you have, okay, because you are your creation. Okay, now that could mean like, okay, well, what if something happened to me? Okay, what if something happened to me and I was put in this situation? And yes. So that is, but at some point, and I know, it may seem hard, but at some point, yes, the decision had to be made. And at some, maybe it's a different level than you, but a lot of this is done to, for the spirit to access and create this type of life, okay? It's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing, because it seems, that is putting too much upon the spirit, but but he's saying, yes, it's true. It's true. Many of the incidents are very, very, very unfortunate. Right. But again, when you are in spirit, you realize that this is only a temporary thing, right? And you are going to grow by whatever means you want, and those around you as well. So many spirits come in to experience this, and then to show others what their lives are like and how strong they can be. Very, very, very strong, okay? So it's a learning process for everybody, right? And it's what you want to pick out of it, or what you want to take out of it, that is important, right? And he's saying yes, yes, yes. So that's important in spirit as well. You realize what your, when you come into a physical life, you realize what the possibilities are, okay? And what the disadvantages are. In a sense, are there disadvantages? Well, he's saying no, not really, not really. There aren't any disadvantages. There could be things that are unfortunate that happen to you in the physical life, but there are no really disadvantages, because you will always learn from them, and those around you will learn as well. And that means when you learn, you create a new aspect of yourself, and that is what you are building, right? You are building and creating. So that's what this whole life is about. But it's also about having fun, right? Having fun and interacting with others, okay? Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about spirit. So let's say you are a spirit, and yeah, so what could you possibly do to be brought before you? And he's saying, well, we're not really, he wouldn't really look, yeah, the council wouldn't really necessarily look at something like that. That would probably go to some a lesser council, right, and yeah, so they're saying the council actually coordinates with a lot of other different entities and councils and beings, and so it's more policy related, they're saying, but it does have to do with a spirit, and yeah, it does have to do with spirit, uplifting spirits, or yeah, the vibration of spirits, and what possible lives they can have on all different types of planets, right. So how important in your day-to-day routine would be helping spirits get into physical lives? And he's saying it would be more about placement, actually, and but they are concerned with the quality of lives on the physical planets that the spirits would be going into. That's interesting. Okay, yep. And he wants to bring up the fact that it's very, very important to know that when you are a spirit, okay, you know what atmosphere you're getting yourself into. You know some of the possibilities. You can know more if you want. You can know less if you want. Yeah, the winging it type of spirit life, where you don't really want to know anything. I mean, physical life, where you don't really want to know anything, but you do know a lot. You do know a lot. And he said. Yeah. And what he wants to say as well is that you always have access to help, and we talk about that on the show as well. Whether you feel that you can talk to your guides or not, spirit is supporting you. Okay, and it might not feel like it, yeah, a lot of times, but it's there. And he said if you don't feel like you're supported from spirit, then it's important to get support from those around you. Okay, and if you feel like you want to. It's too much to burden friends or family, then find maybe a group that's local in your community who can support whatever you might be going through at the time. So he's saying it's important to feel supported. Okay, it's important to feel supported, because in spirit, that's very, very, very important. Okay, he's saying, yeah, you have the access to support whenever you need it, no questions asked. Okay, and he said it's not always the same in the physical, but it is in spirit. Okay, so and you are free to be whoever you want, and that is true as well on the earth. He's saying, okay. Okay, so let's look at some other planets then, because I'd like to ask you, are there other planets or other places that you know of where there is no such setup, where anyone who is physical, maybe you're physical or non-physical, wherever you are, have no, are just, it's like the Wild West or something like that. You can do whatever you want, no consequences to whatever society you might be in, blah, 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 right? Okay, so he's saying, yes, in a way. Okay, so, but that would be an individual or a spirit who is gone rogue, has gone rogue, which means they are not beholding themselves to any type of society, either in spirit or councils, but then they're pretty much going to be on their own. And but he's saying it's not like they are free to do whatever they want. Okay, there is intervention depending on what the spirit or the energy is doing. Okay, so they will be brought before something at some point, depending on what is happening. Yeah, and Diane has actually dealt with that situation before, where there was a rogue spirit energy that was getting involved in physical lives on Earth. That was pretty much wreaking havoc. Yep. So so he says that will happen, but it is some type of spirit that's gone rogue. And he said, in general, in spirit, everyone is supporting. It's really important to support each other. Okay, but also you have your individuality. So if you want to be somebody who is more solitude, or who likes solitude, and who of course you have that freedom, and you have that freedom here on Earth. But he's saying it's up to you. You have the support that you want if you need it. Okay, but so. And other timelines, did you get to? No, okay. He's saying other timelines. He's saying the other timelines that are similar to lives on Earth, it would pretty much be the same type of situation. So so he's saying people on Earth are the same. Like physical people on Earth can feel the same way. They can feel they're not, they don't have any desire to fit in society or feeling any respect toward anyone else or any government or whatever. So he's saying there's the same, and that's a choice that they make. But okay, let's get into so what happens? Okay, what happens? And we've talked about this before on the show too. Let's say that you are doing harm to those on Earth, and then you go back into spirit. Are you going to be judged? Okay, and he's saying, he's rolling his eyes and saying, yes, I get asked this question a lot. And we have talked about it, but let's just talk about it again for those who maybe haven't heard it, okay? So he's saying, no, okay? When you get back into spirit, you meet with your guides, okay? And you have as many of you have heard, you do have a life review. So you look at what you did in that life, okay? So it's not like, there's no soul prison that you're going to be put in. There's no dominant God, that's going to throw you into a hell type of space. If you're put in that type of space, usually it's because you've put yourself there, right? There could be, the soul spas that we've talked about before. If you really need, if you've held a lot of energy from maybe a very, a physical life that was full of maybe hate or destruction, then you could be recommended to go to, highly recommended to go to some type of soul spa. And there's different levels of those too. And usually after a physical life, you will go into something like that. And it is just to kind of not wipe out that life necessarily, but just to cleanse the energy, and so you can start again back in spirit and go about whatever you want to do in spirit. Okay, right. Okay, great information. Thank you very much. So, okay, what? Okay, they're asking a question here. Well, what about individuals on the Earth who feel that there's a dominant God that is going to if they don't behave a certain way or go and do things at a certain time, that they will be, And so he's saying, well, that's up to them. That's up to them. If that's what they want to believe in, and that's their belief system, and they want to follow those rules, then that's certainly something that they can go about doing. Right. He's saying that the forms of religion, you're saying religion that is identifiable or called a name or something on the planet Earth. Some offer a support system for others, right? And it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to abide by whatever rules they might have, like you can and can't do this. And he said, if you're agreeing to that, then that's your choice. If you think that those beliefs are good for you or whatever you are getting out of them. But Yeah, but organized religions, yep, can offer some support systems for people, but again, they may have rules that you either want or don't want to abide by. So it's like getting involved in any type of organization where limits might be set for you, and do you want to do that, right? Because he's saying there's a lot of opportunities where you can feel part of a community and part of a society that don't involve that. And there are ways of being a spiritual person without being involved in organized religion. So there are a lot of options for people. So it's where you want to place yourself and your energy and your belief system, because your belief system is very, 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 very important. He's stressing this very strongly. That's really what's floating the boat there. So it's really what is paramount to who you are. Okay, your belief system. So it's important, if you haven't thought about your belief system, to think about it, because that's what's heading you in whatever direction you're going in, right? Okay. Yep. Okay, yeah, and yeah, so I was really going to separate the spirit world from the earth world, but it seems like we're doing a little bit of both at the same time, okay? Yeah, and no, we're not going to have another council member, but yeah, could you just explain to me maybe what you do on a day-to-day basis? So, yeah, so he's saying again, policies, and it's yeah. So you're showing me this council, and yeah, it's a big deal. Okay, you're a big deal, and there's a lot of support systems for the council. And he's saying yet again, don't assume that we're the only ones that are out there. It's too much for just having 7 spirits. And as we've said before on the show, the spirits on that council do change. It's kind of an elected type situation based on seniority, sometimes based on experience, based on giving spirits an opportunity to have that experience, right? So it's a revolving type of situation, and in order to be open for change. Yep. Okay. Anything else you would like to talk about? Anybody else? Oh, yeah. Okay. So you do want to talk about that. Okay. Yeah. So he's saying, yeah. So there are petitions brought before the council. And can you explain what those are? Yeah, oh, okay. So sometimes, not often though, there can be a situation where maybe somebody has, yeah, and he's saying this might be rare that it would come up to where the council is, but let's say somebody's had a lot of physical lives, and it doesn't matter where. Maybe, but they're coming, but for reasons that they have, maybe they haven't been that successful, and they don't have to be successful. He's saying, but if they continue to have physical lives that maybe aren't stretching them or aren't creating maybe awareness for them, then they might have to kind of petition to say why they want to do it again. Like, yeah. So it's on a case-to-case basis. It's not like they're going to be stopped, but they might say, okay, well, let's look at this a little further. Are there different ways that you can use to create yourself? This is seeming to bring you unhappiness, or you feel more negative about yourself when you get back because you feel like you failed. So something like that. So then they can get assistance and say, okay, well, why is this happening? And it means so much to you to have a positive experience in a physical life, and it doesn't seem to be happening. So they would suggest that maybe they get some more help or therapy in that type of situation before saying no. Well, they're not going to say no, but they're going to want to help the spirit in order not to have maybe another disappointing life again, right? Something like that. But he's saying that's probably not going to reach them, but it could, something like that, if it's an extreme case, right. And what else would you do? Energy work. Okay, they say they do a lot of energy work. So they're showing me with orb type of energies, working energies, changing energies, developing new energies, awareness energies, and yes, and they do. Like the whole universe, he is saying, has the awareness and the capacity to lift the universe, okay? To lift vibrationally the universe, okay? And everyone on Earth has the same ability. So he's saying they do a lot of that. And what else? What else? Okay, some things he's saying he's not open to discuss. And what else? Oh, yeah. What about that? What about art? Do you do anything about art? And art in whatever form is in the spirit, which is similar to some of the physical, but different. Yes. So he's saying there is no limit to what they can work with or work on or energies they work with. They are happy to work with or about anything. Okay, but it will need to be brought before them, and then they will discuss it and say, okay, this is something that we would like to help with. This is something that we know we can maybe affect a change for the positive or for the greater good of all of us. And then they will look at that, and they will suggest if it's something that maybe they don't feel they can handle or don't want to handle, then they will suggest where that can go. Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Is that about it? Yeah. Oh, the council person has to go. Yeah. You have to go. Okay. You have to go. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us on the show today. And we appreciate, I know you have a very busy schedule. I always, it's different. It's different. I always correct myself, it seems, when, because I say it in the American, but then my British half, our part will kick in and try to change that. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, that was an interesting show, I think. Right. And and we want to emphasize the fact that so you may be frightened of the spirit world, of passing over to it, but in reality, it's very similar to the earth. Now, there's obviously no time there, and that takes a little bit of for some. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But in general, you're not going to, when you pass over, you're going to know a lot of spirits there. They're going to be very familiar, more familiar probably than the ones who are around you on Earth, right? You've got a long history with them. They are supporting you, even from spirit. And you have a day-to-day life there, so to speak. You have... you can have a job if you want. You can be a creative being. It's open. So there is there's a big difference. Right. You're right. A big difference is obviously you don't have to support yourself. So you don't have to work at some type of job. But usually everyone in spirit has something that they want to contribute. Right. And like the council person said, or the council spirit said, to help in the greater good of everyone and everything in this universe, right? So, but you could take a sabbatical, and then go create poetry or go travel or go, but then you bring it back and you share it. Yeah. So, that's important. That's important. A lot of spirits do that. Take a break from kind of their day-to-day life and go do something else or experience something else. So it's nothing to be frightened of. It's nothing to be frightened of. But I know, I talked to Diane about this once in a while. She's like, well, I understand all this, but I like being Diane, and I'm going to miss being Diane, and I want to be Diane for as long as I can, right? And so I say, well, yeah. I mean, that's really cool. That's groovy. And and even though, we talk about it a lot, and she obviously talks to spirit, she still has an apprehension about it. And not as much as she used to. Not as much as she used to. But there's still an apprehension. I don't think anyone in a physical body, some do. Some are eager to go back to spirit. But there is always some apprehension, so it's not unusual. But I am saying that yes, you have your life in spirit, and you will and you will get back to it, and that is actually your normal life. Normal, quote, unquote, right. There's nothing really, is there anything normal I was anti-normal when I was Marc, that's for sure. I fought against it as much as I could because normal was boring for me. Normal wasn't creative enough. Normal wasn't individualized enough. Right. And I was all of those things. So yeah, yeah. So it's only normal if you consider it that, right? And I don't really think anyone is normal. Yep. Okay, that's it for the show today. Yeah, thank you everyone for coming and watching the show, and we will be back soon.